everybody. Welcome or welcome back to the Talk Podcast. Yes, I thought it was over, but I'm very interested in listening to what Candace Owens has to say about this. Later on, a slight introduction to her, but actually, does she even need an introduction? Even though we are not streaming from the States, but I think quite a few people have heard her name. So I will say I do like her for what I know. I'm not in any way, shape, or form necessarily, highly involved politically or anything, but different aspects about her that I genuinely like. So let's see her perspective on this, and definitely I will link the YouTube channel of this young man where I found this clip from, right? So let's go.
Here we have Candace Owens. I don't even know where to start with her. She's brilliant. And then we have Lily, who's also world record holder, super viral on the internet. How you feeling, Lily? You good?
I'm really well, thank you. How are you guys?
We're good. Are you familiar with Candace at all?
I have. I've definitely seen TikTok clips and things like that, definitely.
Okay, so we're bringing her on because
she has some questions.
She has a couple questions. I've done podcasts with both of you now, and should we start off with the first video that we saw?
The reaction to which one? The first?
So now, before they actually step into this, let me give you a quick summary of what has happened so far. We all know this young lady who decided to do the unthinkable, I'm not going to say it, and even plan to do worse, right? Basically, who is she? She is a daughter to someone. She is a college dropout, and she is an OnlyFans girl. That's what we know. Who is Candace Owens? This is a married woman, a mother, a career woman, a podcast host, TV representative, influencer, two younger women to actually do empowering things and not degrading things like, unfortunately, what this young woman has chosen to do for her life. We are going to talk about the aspect of the finance part, who is actually supporting this. I know that I'm missing something that I actually promised to talk about a bit more. I did not. And that is the aspect of her mom, because I have learned that her mom is actually the one who is managing all of this, which is mind-blowing. I am sure a lot of people are very, very shocked about this. So that one is going to be touched. And I'm sure Candace Owens, not only because she's a mother herself, but just giving the way that she goes about life, her perspective. If people don't know her, please take a look and make your own judgment. But these two women cannot be any different. They are so far away from each other. And I'm very interested to see what Candace is going to say, especially when it comes to the perspective on her mom, right?
So there's a tweet out there that has 200 million impressions about like right after the 100 guy scene.
Yeah.
So how did the 100 guys go? Financially, how'd it go? And then also like physically, how was that?
Let's talk mentally. Let's not talk
mentally.
Let's not physically.
So now I want to point out, I understand that people are interested and curious in understanding this in different levels, right? But I found it very good and great that how it is amazing that the other host caught that question and said, let's go mentally and not just ask physically, because what are you going to ask at that point, right? And given that this is shared on YouTube as well, and you cannot really control, you might have restrictions, but it's still YouTube. I don't think that's the right platform to be asking, how did that go physically? I think we can all point or, imagine that it just went bad, right?
Honestly, it was a very exhausting day. And very, very stressful, very hard. At some points we were like, I don't even think we're going to hit 100 and stuff like that. And so it was a very long day at work. And as soon as I finished, this documentary team was kind of filming everything. And I don't think I got a second to really shower or have any kind of think about anything until they kind of started probing me for questions and was putting a camera in my face, asking me, what about every little detail. And so, yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm sure you guys have seen the clip of me where I'm very, very overwhelmed. It was a very intense experience and, a very stressful day at work. I'm sure everyone has them days where they come back from work and, it's intense and they have a little cry.
Before Candace, you respond, Lily, was Bradley?
Not even close. Not even close. What she just did to compare that to a stressful day at a 9 to 5 is you're putting shame to everyone who works a honorable job. It's not even close.
I fully agree with that. Not only is it very disrespectful to people who actually have to go to work, choose to go to work, and have jobs that really serve other people as well. but it also shows the mindset of this young woman and what we have kind of allowed as society, right? This to her is work. I've already talked about this, that nowadays we have accepted this path as a career. What I also found interesting now from this young woman's mouth to say we were thinking, oh, are we going to hit 100? I'm thinking to myself, who is we when you are the only person actively involved doing this to yourself, when everyone else might be profiting off of it, but they're not physically involved, they're not taking the mental risk, none of that, they're not taking the health risk. You are the one who's doing this. Why are we talking about we, right? And then it was very exhausting. She's saying it in a way as if that was not to be expected, right? It makes very much sense that this is exhausting. And let me tell you guys, if she were to actually go through with what she was saying, like really imagine these men, random men, whoever, with what mindset they came on there, what fantasy they came on there, and they all really went through with this. I heard from one of my favorite podcasters, YouTubers, saying in a fun way, even this is not a joking manner, like, can someone even survive this? Like, can't you pass away from this? And actually, this could have taken severe damage if she, which, I mean, there is already severe damage, but you know, the outcome of this, if they all would have went through with this, she would have went through with that. You guys know what I mean? I don't think that would be any more conversations right now, okay? The reason why I say this young lady is voluntarily, another difficult one, people are going to have fun with that, voluntarily putting herself at risk. Mom is supporting this. We all unfortunately hear from stories where young women have been taken advantage of, okay? And we hear stories of one person doing harm to them, 2, 3, and we hear that there is physical harm, like bad outcome, and sometimes we hear that there is the worst outcome. I don't need to say it out loud. Hopefully you guys understand. And now we have people who are taking their own lives and literally playing with this, playing with their lives. The other thing is just what is coming in the future, the health risk. I'm telling you guys, we're going to touch on that.
100?
What is this?
Sadly not, I wish.
Oh, no, I wasn't there.
You can be there for the 1,000 though.
No, I can't partake in this.
All
I
right,
can't.
Candace, so Lily just talked about how it was a hard day at work, and now you saw the clip of her being emotional after.
First off, I feel like I should say most people don't have a hard day of work like that. I think obviously what you're doing is kind of a bit of an extreme sport, right? Putting it mildly. But I think one of the questions that I just have about that is, it seems like now you're kind of trying to make light of the situation, but in the moment, you know, you were crying. And I get obviously what attracts you to this. I'm not gonna be patronizing these questions. It's money and it's fame. You know, these are demonic possessions. You know what people will do for this sort of attention. You're getting a lot of it right now because you've, you know, done something. You're saying you're going to do something that no person has done, and sleep with 1,000 people in one day. But how do you ignore what you felt after that, and how you felt after that, and sleep with 1,000 people in one day? But how do you ignore what you felt after that, and how you felt after that, and just...
She can't ignore it. She will never be able to ignore it. But the next thing that they're going to try to do is to market this as everything is good. I'm fine. This is the next story. This is going to keep her, you know, interesting for a bit.
Try to happy face and pretend that it's normal when it so clearly was not. Like, you clearly were traumatized by the experience.
I personally don't think I was traumatized. I chose to do this. This was something that I wanted to do. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say it was fucking easy. But I don't think I was traumatized from it at all. I think as well, obviously from what you might have seen from the documentary, like a lot, the good points I talked about was also very much cut out. You know, at the end of the day, they're there to tell a narrative.
Now, I will interject at this point, because now what she is trying to do is trying to shift the responsibility and shift the accountability and create a different story. She's using the word narrative. In the documentary, the good parts that she shared were also cut out. Now, let me tell you, she allowed and agreed to partake not only in her idea, but also inviting this young man to do the documentary, and he did a very good job in terms of transparency, honesty. And when it comes to transparency, you need to put in mind that you can only go as far as you can go. It's shared on YouTube, right? But he really did a good job, because every part was in there. She was as open as a book, and he put every part in there. Mind you, even the part that she shared, that she left away the condoms, there were acts without protection. I will talk on that. I'm adding this because I want to point out health risk within this, okay? And I'm going to point out, just adding it now, a different question. Isn't this person perhaps a risk to other people? Just saying, just asking. But really trying to make the guy from the documentary in some way, shape, or form look like he is portraying her in a bad state. No one is portraying you in a bad state. You were in a bad state. You found yourself in a bad position. You had to admit to yourself that this experience that you wanted to have wasn't a good choice. She was crying. She had red eyes. She didn't feel good. And it's interesting. If you want to see that, just go on the other episodes. You are going to see how she said she felt like she had to disassociate. She was completely numb, okay? She said it was hard, it was intense, it was difficult. She wouldn't recommend it. She felt different afterwards. Now, okay, a week after, you recovered probably a bit, you're trying to put a pretend face on. Now you're trying to say, it wasn't that difficult. I'm not traumatized at all. I mean, I did that. I chose to do this, but yet someone else was trying to paint a narrative. I'm sorry, but I need to point that out. This is not how this works.
And that's kind of the narrative that they went for, is like, this seems like a sad girl, and I don't want people to pity me or feel sorry for me. This is what I chose to do.
Right, but why were you crying? Are you saying these were happy tears?
No, I was extremely overwhelmed.
You remember this face? Just a quick reminder, this is the same confusion that starts happening when you start lying to yourself, when you put yourself in bad situations, when you start doing things that are harming your soul, your body, your emotions, your mental, everything. But you still want to tell yourself, keep going, I can do this, I'm built different, I'm a different kind of girl. The same, we had this young woman, right, who was telling herself, I feel bad, I feel dead inside, my mental health is down, I feel disgusted by these people, I don't want to do this anymore, but at the same time, I'm not going to quit, I'm going to keep going. Listen to what Candace say. So at first it was, I don't want, why did you do this? How are you going to, not why did you do this, but how are you going to ignore what happened to you, what you did to yourself? How are you going to live with that? How can you just move on with this, right? And she's like, oh, I wasn't traumatized at all. Actually, I'm fine. I did this to myself. I wanted this. It was all, glitz and glamour. I had a fun time. I don't want people to pity me. People shouldn't feel bad for me. I guess this is why some people who come on my comments are like, girl, stop it. You're doing too much. We don't even need to feel bad for her, right? That's what she's portraying. I'm tough. I can do this. Okay, then why were you crying? Were these happy tears? No. Oh, what do you mean no? How does that make sense? You see the confusion and the conflicts? Does that make sense? How does that make sense?
And that's kind of the narrative that they went for, is like, this seems like a sad girl, and I don't want people to pity me or feel sorry for me. This is what I chose to do.
Right, but why were you crying? Are you saying these were happy tears?
No, I was extremely overwhelmed. Like, it was very intense. And yeah, I mean, the experience was obviously, like, we had like an hour conversation after, and obviously when he started probing me about some experiences in it, it was, it brought up some tears. I'm a very emotional girl, so I cry a lot.
Yeah, wait, really quick. I'm trying to think.